G'day everyone and welcome to episode 6 of our little rebuild we're doing of the Superman Escape and the Flash Coaster in Movie World in our Planet Coaster build. Oh, it's a mouthful. I need a new name to call all of this, but we have a problem. As you can see here, the more and more I looked at this building, the more the billboard buildings didn't work for sizing. Um, because there's guests standing in the Flash Coaster area, it didn't really work with sight lines of having the coaster. Obviously, everything's so close. And when you look over towards Doomsday, the buildings just didn't look right with the sizing of the coaster, with the sizing of Doomsday himself. So you got to remember that my Doomsday is a lot bigger than Movie World's Doomsday. My Doomsday is a lot more, I'd say, energetic with its sort of its posture, and it's just different things that are on it, like the spikes coming off and stuff like that. I think the real Doomsday is holding a piece of like railway track, pointing it down at guess, from memory. I'm not sure whether they could change that to maybe have it as a hand that's more swiping like mine, but yeah, just the more that I rode it around and around and around, it just really turned into, okay, this isn't working. What can I try? So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. So I've given it a good shot at recreating this whole part with bigger buildings, and hopefully you see where I'm coming from with this build, and you go, okay, this looks a lot better than what the billboards part does. Whether I use these billboards in the further part leading up to the back, I think Monday's video will be a very big video. That's what I'm a little bit afraid of. But it looks like we're going to finish this by the end of next week. So we've got to start thinking of trailers. It's got to start thinking of how to release it so that everyone can experience it either on YouTube or on TikTok or on PC, downloading it for themselves. Sorry, console people, but yeah, it still sucks that you guys won't get to experience it, but maybe one day in the future if Movie World ever updates it. But I just think it looks a lot better with a lot more detailed buildings. So something I've been playing around with off camera is having the Flash and Reverse Flash racing around the city whilst, so you obviously have Superman escape. Superman's obviously helping you escape and everything else from the subway, but at the same time he's fighting Doomsday. So we're obviously in Metropolis. That's the whole point of this whole area, is you're in sort of a city center. Flash and Reverse Flash have created some sort of seismic explosion that has created that ride in the middle, which is caused everything to be frozen in time. So that's my plan for my next video that you'll see on I think it's Monday that comes out, if I can remember it properly. But that's that video set. I know that a couple of people might get upset with me having episode 6 is literally just a rebuild of episode 5, but yeah, I just couldn't keep going with my build without like sort of playing around. So I sort of just started grabbing buildings from the DC area and putting them around here. And the more I did that, the more I was like, yeah, okay, this is a lot better than what the billboard section is. So as I said, hopefully you share my opinion on it, of it looking a lot better like this. But we'll see what people think in the comments. It's been interesting building, trying to contain myself. I know I ended up setting them initial rules at the start, but the more that I do it, the more I'm like, why am I doing that? Like, what? That's not what my sort of build style is. But I am trying to keep to keeping it simple and not keeping it not over the top. So I don't think this is over the top. I think this is just still very basic. Like, Movie World could pull this off very easily with a fake facade, and not having to really invest much into getting this sort of effect to look really cool, like you're flying through the city. Because at the moment it's just a concrete pad. Like, I know that the problem is that you're going so fast through this area that putting things around and putting things in this part doesn't really make sense, because I understand that sizing might be different, that the layout of the track might be completely different, but for me, it's really cool to be able to finally fill in this blank space that I've wanted to do since I obviously started building my movie world area. If you remember in my early episodes when we were building out this section, I constantly said like I would love to redo Superman Escape, and then obviously Planet Coaster 2 happened, and then all of that just snowballed into another thing, and it was like, okay, this is a bit getting a bit out of hand of what I can do and what I can't do because of time and stuff like that. Like, this is still taking hours of work. I'm trying to give up energy drinks, so your body is just crashing and it's trying to like find other avenues for that missing resource. And yeah, it's been fun being in withdrawals for energy drinks, but I plan on still getting it done. But yeah, what capacity, that's what we've got to decide pretty soon of what we can do. So the way I see it is Monday's episode will literally be finishing off the whole of the outside area around the Flash. I've got a pretty good plan of what I want to do for that, so I should be able to knock that out really quickly over the weekend and get that fully designed and fully implemented. And then to be able to do the I'm not sure if you've seen in some of the background shots that the piece where you go back into the building I deleted, because I just didn't know how I wanted to sort of blend all of that area together, and how to sort of make it work within this story. Like, it would be cool to be able to shoot through the building and have like building pieces frozen in time as if like you're still going through, but I'm still trying to work out that inside area, and that's going to be a big surprise for when you obviously see the final POV of when you get to ride it. You'll get to see what I designed on the actual launch section. That a couple of people have commented saying that I should build out that area, as it's cool seeing like the maintenance side, but it's kind of like you go through all of this theming. You go from when you walk in, you're in the station, you go through the tunnels, you have all that stuff going on, and then you get to the launch section, and it's sure you have like the cave-in sections, but you're literally just looking straight at a track that's just going past the maintenance shed out, and it's like you could add some really cool effects, whether you steal some from the old movie world or not, because that'd be cool if they used, I'm not sure if you remembered, but when they remade Scooby-Doo, they had that like where you had the rotating section of the up part where it's like they had like a shattered time when you float around and it's all mirrors and stuff. You could have that, but stretched around that whole part when you come inside the building, and it'd be like you shot through the glass, and it's like if that makes sense. But pretty much I wanted to just slow down the build and just really like iron out all the little details that we've still got to complete in this, if that's what you're wondering why it's not normally sped up till 16 times like my other videos. So this part here, I kind of wanted it to be like the Yeti. That doesn't work. That should work, because obviously we can't make him move, make him dance around or whatever we want him to do and swing at guests. So we have to think of creative ways to make it look like there's movement, but there's not movement, if that makes sense. So the only way I thought I could do that is if he's either sliding down the building, but that obviously defeats the purpose of him holding onto the top like that, or I thought of he's jumped from somewhere to that and he's coming down to attack, say, whether Superman or the guests there. But obviously with the other things, the secret things that Flash is doing that you'll see in the next episode, that obviously that's affecting Doomsday being able to move, and obviously guests moving at the speed of light is an interesting concept to have. So as you see, this is pretty much raw footage of what I build. Anyone that's watched my videos know that I don't hide the fact that I'll put in full sections of my builds that it's not all sunshine and rainbows with some of these builds. Like, you will have crappy moments of building, and like, that's what I love when people comment being like, oh, you're so amazing, and then you show them bits like this and they go, oh, no, you're not. You're like, you build like I do, which is what I want to like show you, is that like, no, anyone can be special in this game, because it's literally so easily accessible to everybody, that we all get the same amount of pieces, we all get the same amount of like area and different things, like, unless you don't pay the DLC and stuff like that, but you get what I mean. Which makes it interesting that you can go onto this game and there are so many different creations, but they're all using the same pieces that we all have. Yes, there are people that are using the Theme Maker's Toolkit, but at the end of the day, it's just really cool to see a game where it's so like open to so many different possibilities. Like, we've been able to design a whole movie world. Who would have thought that? But yeah, it's a very interesting process that this whole build has been. Very fun. I've seen that Movie World's been following along. They've been commenting on a couple of videos and getting really excited to see what we make. So it's that added pressure as well that I'm really like enjoying, and trying to do a good job and not make it so silly that it's like, okay, mate, that's great thinking, mate, if that makes sense. But to me, it's really cool to be able to jump in here and build this stuff. So the hard part I found was not going inside of the other ride, because you got to remember that the loading station for the Justice League ride is just on the other side of this. So buildings were very hard to put in and not be able to go over the top. And also, it had to make sense. Like, if that's a train tunnel going into a building, I couldn't just have it going into just like a normal house or something like that. Like, I know there are houses that are built next to train stations and tunnels and stuff like that, but it couldn't just be well, how could that person live in that building if the train tunnel goes right in through his house? So finding a way around that was pretty fun. Good luck to the person, whoever lives in there. So you're just seeing pretty much the 200 different design ideas I had. Initially, I thought a cool thing to do would be a lot of glass, because I could have a lot of glass like breaking as he's jumping on the building. Over the last couple of days, I own I think it's the Justice League Collector's Edition of all the like the what are they called, like the animated series. And I've been watching a couple of them, like the Flashpoint Paradox and a couple of different Flash movies, just because theming for Superman is easy. Theming for Batman is easy. Theming for Wonder Woman, you're getting a little bit hard. But theming for the Flash, it's like, oh, okay, like, what could I do? Like, because I'm not really that familiar with it. So I've watched that. I've watched the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. Turns out it wasn't as bad as a lot of people said. Sure, it was bad, but it wasn't like, I don't know, I never watched it because I thought like everyone said it was a terrible movie, but I ended up watching it thinking like, this isn't bad. Like, sure, there's things you could change, but like, yeah, I don't know, I think I just had a weird image in my head of how that movie was going to be this absolutely terrible movie, but yeah, it didn't suck at all. But I digress. If you share the opinion that you actually didn't like that movie, then that's I might lose some subscribers if that makes sense. But yeah, no, I've got a couple of different ideas now. There's a couple of cool shots of the Flash and Reverse Flash racing, where they look like the old Tron vehicles in the Tron movies, where you see them like darting next to each other racing. I thought that would be cool to try and find a way to do something like that in this park, because you got to remember that, I think I was trying to explain before and I got distracted, of Superman's doing his own thing, he's saving you, Flash is off doing his own thing. So it's cool, it'd be cool to see both sides of the story, so that you're creating something that you would ride more than once. So guests would see something new every time they ride. Like if they look inside one of these buildings here, they might see the Flash in there trying to get people out. If they look forwards into another part, like running around the track, they might see the Flash, like the Lightning, running around, trying to catch Reverse Flash, or trying to stop him, or trying to stop Doomsday, or help someone else. Like, try not to give away too many spoilers for what I've got planned. I think I sat there for, well, the whole time I was watching, I had my iPad, and I do like very terrible drawings, but I take screenshots of these areas. So like that corner there, I had like a really crappy drawing of Doomsday jumping. Even like the whole top-down view of the ride, I had everything sort of like laid out of how I wanted to make things and create and do different things. If you want to see that, comment below that you'd love to see it. I might do it in one of the YouTube posts to show my crappy drawings of my concept for what I've wanted to do. But yeah, we just kept going on with the destruction. So obviously, you as a guest, you're flying down here. I'm trying to create near misses for the guests. There's not really that many near misses on this ride other than the building that you shoot through. So creating more opportunities for that was really cool, to be like, here's some pieces of track that are going to be hanging off the ground, and not like near guests, but close enough to where it's like, oh, I'll keep my hands inside the ride. Because you don't really have that much room to move around in these coasters, but when you do, like, I know they have that thing that they put on tracks when they're first building the rides to be like, this is like the safeguard of how far someone, like a guest, could reach out and like touch things and move around and stuff like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see sort of what Movie World would do in these sort of situations, because I know there's a lot more safety regulations with coasters nowadays, especially in Australia, that might restrict them doing something like this. Of they might not feel safe, or if the wind blows and something moves, or something like that. But as I said, it's really cool to see when you stand, say, in the fountain, how much the train track that we're building now obstructs the view of Doomsday. And it's, yes, you can see him, you can see the top of his shoulders and like his head and stuff like that, but it's creating that mystery of what's going on inside there, which will force guests onto the Flash Speed Force, which is a ride that some people might skip. It'll force people onto Superman to get the whole story of what's going on there, because I wanted it to be, if you want to get in the city centre and really experience this whole story, you have to line up for the Flash to get this side of it. If you want to fly through the city, you're going to have to get on Superman. I don't think there should be a way for guests to walk up the exit of the Flash and see inside and not understand the story. But that's something I could look into. But I think it's more, as I said, just the safety of it, of not letting guests inside of this area, and sort of having it where it's zoned off to be like, this is just for the ride. And I think it'd be really cool if they could do something like this and pull it off, because as I said, everyone loves this coaster, everyone loves Superman Escape. It is getting very old though. I'm not sure how old it is. If someone knows, put it in the comments of when this coaster came out. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I was very young when I first rode this and really had the balls to jump on, if we're being honest. But we all remember our first experience of getting our head absolutely thrown back in through the seat and not understanding anything that's happened on the roller coaster. But it was still fun nonetheless, if we're saying that. So when I was talking about that, I was just reminded of a story of when I went to Universal and I rode the Incredible Hulk coaster. That was the most intense roller coaster I've ever been on. That I will always remember as being like crazy, like how much power that coaster had. I think I passed out. I do not remember like the first like launch of it, if you ever get a chance to look at that. But yeah, we can talk about that more in the next video. But Thank you so much for watching and catching up again. I'm sorry that it is a repeat episode. I will make up to it for you on Monday, and we will have a mega episode of the whole outside area for Superman Escape and the Flash, and that is my semi-promise to you, because it might be too big to upload, but if it is, I'll do like a quick part 1 and part 2. I won't make his wait as long, but I think I can call the deadline now of next week should be the finish of the whole thing, because realistically we've only got the outside, the building where you fly in and out, and then the station, and then it's done. Maybe a little bit of a one through going back through the building, but it looks like next weekend should be like the trailer and everything else. Like this is set. Watch me eat them words. But as always, most importantly, have a great day, and thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about which one you like better, whether you like this building or the other version. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.